It's been 60 days since the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG, declared a strike effective over what it said was government's failure to implement the National Labour Commission's arbitral award. We have the latest for you in a moment. Also coming up, attempts to create multiple lawyer associations create a divided front among members of the legal fraternity. What exactly is the problem regarding this? We'll delve into that as well. And later, the former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who was detained by the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement, is expected to appear before a judge tomorrow, the 20th of January 2026. In the United States. Details of all of these and more coming up. We have business and sports at the tail end of the program, and we always love to hear from you, so be a part of the show. We are starting from the United States of America and issues surrounding former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, and you'll recall that news broke a few days ago that he has been in detention in the United States of America following the expiration of his visa. Now, the latest in that turn of events is that he is expected to appear before a judge on the 20th of January 2026, which is Tuesday, tomorrow. Ahead of that appearance, Ghana's ambassador to the United States, Victor Emmanuel Smith, says he has been told by the former minister's cousin, that is Gabi Asare-Treve, that Ken Ofori-Atta is unwilling to return to Ghana to answer corruption-related charges against him over how he may be treated. So before we delve into any specific details, let's listen to what Ambassador Victor Smith has been saying regarding this particular development of whether or not Ken Ofori-Atta is willing to come to Ghana to stand trial.
I had a call from Gabi Asare-Treve. He expressed that worry. And I assured him that he will have to go through the due process. I mean, everybody goes through a due process of law. So they're not going to be like, people are not going to attack him. We don't behave like that. He and that Ken himself, by his own doings, being evasive with the OSP arrest, have created this brouhaha around his case. So that is the point. So don't let nobody get me wrong. It was not my own view. It was a view expressed by Gabi Asare-Treve, who is a relative of his. He made a call to me, and I said, I wanted to have an opportunity to assure him that he would have to go through the due process like anybody else goes through the due process. So that anxiety, fear and everything was expressed by Gabi.
Right, so that's Ambassador Victor Smith, who is Ghana's representative in the United States of America. Now, you'd recall attempts were made earlier to reach out to Ken Ofori-Atta to find out if any consular services will be required following his detention by the immigration officials in the U.S. But information we gathered indicates that Ken Ofori-Atta says he will only meet the Ghanaian delegation in the presence of his legal team, a position that many have agreed with. And for Vice President of Imani Africa, Kofi Bentil, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is not in Ghana, not because he fears the charges being leveled against him.
I know that Ken would like to come back, but he's apprehensive about how he'll be treated because of the kinds of things that have been said and done in the past 1 year. And look, let us all, step back and be sober about these things. We all want accountability, okay? And if we are going to believe what Ambassador Smith is saying, then Ken himself wants to come and clear his name. And Ofori-Atta is apprehensive because somebody thinks that the day he steps into this country, he will be locked up in a cell and the key will be thrown away. If you are Ken, or if Ken is your brother, or if Ken is your father,
well, so that's Kofi Bentil asking the question about whether or not the fears of Ken Ofori-Atta are legitimate or justified in any form or shape. But he got a response from the Minister in charge of Government Communications, Felix Kwakye-Fosu, who believes that the former Finance Minister is simply trying to evade accountability, and he also spoke on the subject.
That Ken has no difficulty coming, except that he is worried about him
about how he will be treated.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it.
Why?
You see, it is a contrived excuse. Because I will assess Ken by his conduct, not by his words. Everything he has done here shows that he's been trying to evade justice. That is all. The man has tried to evade justice for a year or so. Yeah. So, near say so by himself or people close to him that he would like to come, but he is afraid of how he will be treated, does not catch eyes with me. Number two, what has happened in this country that is so extraordinary in terms of how we treat persons accused of crime that Ken Ofori-Atta is afraid of? What has happened?
And that's the question that is on the minds of many people. Let's put that question, hopefully, to a private legal practitioner to find out whether he can hazard a guess. Meanwhile, while all of this is unfolding, pressure group Arise Ghana has announced plans for an indefinite picket at the U.S. Embassy here in Accra from January 20, which is tomorrow, to demand the extradition of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to face some 78 corruption-related charges that have been leveled against him by the special prosecutor. But his mom has joined us, Mom Hesse. Christian Mom Hesse has joined us. I hope I got the arrangement right this time around. Good evening,
this
sir.
time you got it right.
Thank you so much. And to start with, what are your thoughts? Are the fears being expressed by the former finance minister justified in any way? We are told he says he's apprehensive that if he comes, the way he may be treated is why he doesn't want to come. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. Good evening to you and your listeners. His apprehension can best be justified in an emotional milieu. That's how best it can be justified, because it is a human condition that anybody going through such an emotional roller coaster would entertain such ideas. And that's where the bus will stop. Anything beyond that, the legal system is supposed to deal with it. And I believe that if he should be in Ghana, he can assemble the best of lawyers to assert his rights. Should it be that the legal system is not catering for him properly. Indeed, we are also reminded that we are not in the Janta era, where the revolution played out and the rights of people were thrown to the dogs. We are not in that era. And indeed, like I said, if his rights are not taken into proper perspective, his lawyers would always know the legal processes to file, depending on whatever might come up. So if it is just a blanket statement that if you, I understand very well my senior, Mr. Bentil, but the legal system will deal with it. And like I said, there are actors in the legal system. And that is his assembled or his bevy of lawyers, as we may call, will deal with it, so it shouldn't be a problem. I also gather that tomorrow would be the hearing at the immigration court in the United States of America. Indeed, it is the make or break for him. And should it go his favor, then his status will change so that they can grant him that extension to file for the renewal of his visa. Now, if it happens that his attempt fails, then it will automatically truncate the extradition process. I'd maintain that the extradition process is a separate legal route and mutually exclusive from the immigration procedures. But the immigration procedure or determination thereof, should it not go his favor, would automatically end the extradition process, because if the orders of the court is that he should be deported to Ghana, his presence will not be there, or his person will not be there for extradition processes to be carried on. So it automatically will truncate that.
Okay, there are a number of things that I want us to unpack in this conversation. One would be the concern that Mr. Ofori-Atta expressed, which you have answered. But even on that same concern of his uncertainty about how he'll be treated when he comes, is it that there are examples or things like that have happened, or it is by mere fact that people, because of the public commentary about what he is alleged to have done or been involved in, is that what his fear is, or there actually are situations where people who are standing trial are vilified to the extent that their rights are abused? Because Attorney General has told us that one of the lawyers of Ken Ofori-Atta in the U.S., that is John Ashcroft, the former Attorney General of the U.S. government, who is lawyer for Ken Ofori-Atta, called him Dr. Dominic Aine to ask about the same thing, that Ken Ofori-Atta says he's unsure about how he'll be treated. He fears he might be vilified when he comes out, even before trial. So there seems to be some credence being given to this fear he's expressing. As a lawyer, you've been to court a number of times. You've heard some of these cases or observed from afar. Do we abuse or have we abused people's rights to justify Ken's fears?
Yes, you remember that's why in my preliminary submission, I said that it's a human condition that anybody who goes through or is going through what Ken is going through would definitely have that kind of fog on his or her mind. I mean, where commentary has been run on our airwaves such that he's been posited in a very, or he's been brushed in a very negative position. Or I mean that's the lens that has been drawn by the general public. The apathy is so high that it is affecting his mental health, and he's come to an internal belief that he will not get justice as to whether the judge is going to hear him or not. He has come to that belief. But definitely, like I said, it cannot be that we will throw away natural justice here. For whatever it is worth, if he comes down and the High Court hears him, anything that will relate to his human rights or natural justice and all of that, his lawyers knows what to do. So, like I said, we are not in the era of the revolution,
right?
Where human rights were not upheld so much, and a lot of people suffered in that nature. But like I said, I agree with Mr. Bento when he spoke about his mental condition, mental health condition, in terms of his emotional outlook and whether it's your brother or your sister, nobody would be happy about it. But unfortunately, this has happened, and I've always been against persons or suspects who are being arraigned before the court, and the learned Attorney General would always find time to run all these commentary. I mean, it prejudices the minds of people. I'd always pray that such things should not be done, because to an extent, the person has been tried in the public. So you would realize that should the matter go to court and the suspect who becomes an accused person wins the case, the conclusion would go, we did our best. It's either the judge was bribed or something. Because political followers will not understand whether prosecution could not do his or her case right, but it will be easy for that inference to come. Is it that the judge didn't do the work well? Meanwhile, the judge has expressed him or herself through formalism, as we call in jurisprudence, by exercising his rights, looking at the facts and the law, and coming to that conclusion. So for me, I do not encourage or believe that suspects should be run in the media before they even have their day in court.
That's
If
true.
it is a reportage of whatever is happening in court, that is fine. That's perfect. But this style of is very unfortunate. And
It looks
has
like,
unfortunately put him in this. And it's just not about Mr. Ofori-Atta. Anybody who is going through the justice delivery system, who is being subjected to or has been subjected to this kind of thing, it defeats the purpose of natural justice.
and I think that
so unfortunately that's the position he finds himself in. But
and by virtue of natural justice, it looks as though every now and then when high-profile cases like this come up, the public court also does have a say, and unfortunately it is the say that sometimes paints a certain picture about the case and the individuals involved, where naturally everybody is expecting a certain outcome. And so if it goes to court and, like you said, based on the facts adduced, the judge says he thinks otherwise, people will feel heavily disappointed and start finding excuses or accusations. But still on that position though, so it means that if it does go to court tomorrow in the US, and we don't know whether it's going to be a day's trial or it's going to be a number of days, but whatever the outcome is, if, for instance, assuming that they say he is now falling foul of the US law and must be deported, that actually then naturally truncates the extradition process, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And if not, then it means that the extradition process will still continue, but we are unable to tell how long that will go, because then the US more or less is allowing him to stay in the country, would extend his stay, and by virtue of that, Ghana will still have to start fighting and using every diplomatic means available to them to bring him in.
Exactly. And I think I watched a news item where the representatives of ICE pointed out that this man is even he is being recalled to his country for corruption and corrupt related matters. So it will be one of the things they will be pushing. They will be pushing through their lawyers, that's the ICE lawyers. They will be pushing to say that indeed this man is being arraigned before court or he's been arraigned before court in Ghana. Then extradition processes has been put in. So what would be the reason for the grant of the extension so that he would renew his visa and all of that? And it would be for Ken's lawyers also to argue this political thing. So we look out to see how all of this will play in the court.
Okay. Mr. Mamhesi, thank you so much for speaking to us on this subject.
Thank you so much for having me.
And he is a private legal practitioner, Christian Mamhesi, and has been helping us put into perspective what the expectations could be on the back of the fact that tomorrow, the 20th of January 2026, Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister, who has been described by the special prosecutor as a fugitive of justice, he will be appearing before a court in the United States of America. I'll try and get to the specific city or county where he will be, appearing before the court. So it's an immigration court, we are told, where he is expected to justify why, one, he overstayed his visa, which expired in November. And then secondly, now that he has flouted that law, will the U.S. hear his reasons, which he says is because he fears political persecution in Ghana, which is one of the reasons why he's decided to stay in the U.S. or overstay in the U.S. We also do know that they've put in an application to try and get, that visa extension for him, which is one of the things they'll be looking out for. So tomorrow is just a few hours away, and definitely trust TV3 and 3FM 92.7 and all our sister stations and affiliates to update you on how the trial in the U.S. will play out. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hotedition. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Your thoughts are always welcome on the many stories we are going to be discussing this evening. And we are staying on issues of legal matters because Attempts to create multiple lawyer associations has created a divided front among members of the legal fraternity. Recently, the Constitutional Review Committee recommended the lifting of the monopoly enjoyed by the Ghana Bar Association, the GBA, and other professional bodies. Legal practitioner Abraham Amalba, Member of Parliament for South Dai, Rox and Nelson Dapamakpa, along with others, filed a suit at the Supreme Court arguing that the Ghana Bar Association's exclusive constitutional rights are unconstitutional and violate the principles of equality and freedom of association. They want the court to interpret references of the Bar Association in the Constitution as generic terms encompassing all law associations in Ghana rather than just existing or the GBA's existence. Let's listen to Abraham Amalba, who is leading or one of the legal individuals who are pushing for a separate group to be formed, just not the Ghana Bar Association, where all lawyers must automatically be a member of.
The Constitution did not create the GBA like it created Shiraj, like it created NCCE. The GBA is actually a private institution. It's not a constitutional body. It's not a constitutional creation. That is where people are saying that there are other private professional bodies. It is from that background that we are also saying that when you look at Article 21, it is very clear on the freedom of association. It is therefore wrong to coerce all lawyers to belong to the Ghana Bar Association. What is important is for the Supreme Court to make a pronouncement on this matter. And when the Supreme Court makes a pronouncement on this matter, it becomes the law. I don't know why the GBA is now interested in any amendments to the Constitution. But besides that, I am of the view that this call to not make the GBA as the only union of lawyers has come only after more than 30 years of practice of the Constitution. And so, if it were political, when they sort of boycotted the Constitution, that was when the framers of the Constitution should have said that they won't put the GBA in the Constitution, or the name of GBA will not appear in the Constitution. If at that time their name was not removed, I don't think that the call, which is predicated on sound reasoning, can be termed as political. It's about the freedom of association and the freedom to disassociate.
And that is the voice of Abraham Amalba, who is a private legal practitioner and then also one of the lead individuals who are asking for the separation or the creation of a different group of legal minds that can not necessarily counter the Ghana Bar Association, but at least probably just make it a freedom of association, which is in line with Ghana's constitution, and clearly sought to lay out the clarity that it is not the constitution that formed or created the Ghana Bar Association. It is a private group of lawyers, and you can join if you're a lawyer and you want. However, there should be the option for other groupings to be formed or created so that other lawyers who do not necessarily want to be with the Bar Association can join that. This is 3FM 92.7. So the Bar Association currently has representation on several key bodies, including the Judicial Council, the Ghana Police Council, the National Media Commission, and the Constitution Review Commission has also recommended removing the Bar Association and other professional and religious bodies from the Constitution, suggesting that representation on key bodies should be determined by an act of Parliament instead. Let's take you back to one of our big stories we are looking at for you, and started about 2 months ago, specifically on the 24th of November 2025, where the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG, declared a strike effectively over what they describe as government's failure to implement the National Labour Commission's arbitral award. About 2 months ago, on the strike is still persisting, and CETAG is demanding agreements to be honored by the National Labour Commission's arbitral award, which was actually earlier handed, which was on the 2nd of May 2023. Let's walk you through some of the key demands that CETAG is seeking. Joining me in studio now is Wisdom Safo, who is with our research desk here at Media General. Wisdom, thank you for joining us. To start with, what do we know about CETAG's strike?
Okay, so Martin, as you rightly mentioned, the strike began on the 24th of November 2025, and by that count, that means that they've been on strike for 56 days and still counting. And if you look at CETAG, it is an association that is made up of the College of Education. I mean, our teacher trainees, they are teachers, yes, and that's the CETAG, and it's cut across about 46 colleges of education, and we are looking about 66,000 plus students, or in other words, teacher trainees students who are actually affected. So there are people who are supposed to be in schools learning how to teach our wards, and these people are actually at home now because their teachers are on strike. Now, people ask, how is this detrimental to the country or the economy? Because if you look at the 2026 budgetary allocation, the government allocated about 1.26 billion Ghana cedis to colleges of education, and currently they are dormant. There's nothing going on. There's no teaching and learning going on. So it is a cost, indirect cost to the country. So if you look at a snapshot of the reasons why they are embarking on this industrial action, the first thing is the unimplemented NLC arbitration award, and I will explain that later. And we have the unpaid book and research allowances, delayed condition of service agreements, and unresolved salary parity with public universities. So let's explain the unresolved salary parity. So before 2018, pre-2018, colleges of education was 3 years. Okay, so it was 3 years. You go for 3 years, you get your diploma, which was not a degree by then. But after 2018, they were upgraded into a degree level. So the teachers were advocating that, look, now we are at the degree level, so pair us with these universities of education, their lecturers. We should be enjoying similar benefits, like how they are also giving these book and research allowances and all that. So that was one of their concerns. So I counted about 4 to 5 industrial actions in just 2 years. That's CETAG. So that's just a snapshot of what is currently going
happening. Okay, so their demand, which they say the NLC awarded them, and that must be implemented, is what exactly? What exactly is the reason for this current strike?
Okay, so in 2019 to 2022, so there were some allowances, payment irregularities, and delays or arrears, which are building up, which are propounding, and they sent these concerns to the National Labour Commission. It's like a mother body which settles calls between the government and institutions such as CETAG, the organized labor, and all these pressure groups, these labor groups. So they sent their grievances to NLC. NLC, together with the government, sat around a table. They had a consensus and agreed that this is what CETAG is demanding. The government also agreed that, look, we are going to settle this, give us time. Okay, go back to the classroom, go and teach our teachers to be. And up to now, the government has not fulfilled all these promises. So NLC, together with the government and CETAG, sat down, they agreed. They had a consensus, but the government has not fulfilled its part of this consensus. That's the arbitration awards that is currently pending. So as I rightly mentioned, for about 3 to 4 years, I'm counting about 4 industrial actions from CETAG alone.
All right, Wisdom, thank you for at least updating us on a strike that many seem to have forgotten about. And like you indicated, it's been 2 months and over, and very little action has been heard, especially from the side of government. Let's find out from the CETAG members themselves what they've been doing in this period and what kind of responses they've been hearing, or if any, from government. Professor Samuel Atintunu is the president of the National Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education. Prof, good evening, and thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening, and thank you for having me this evening. Thank you for following up on this issue.
Clearly, okay. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It looks as though this particular issue has been swept under the carpet, or less action. Our attention is being given to it. So, does that mean that your members are still on strike?
Incidentally, I'm their employer. I'm not a member of CETAG. They are our staff.
Right.
Our cherished staff. So CETAG president is Bunu, but I'm a PRINCOP. PRINCOP is the Conference of Principals of College of Teaching.
Right.
All the 49 together. So I lead them as their national president.
CETAG members or your employees are still on strike. Is that the case?
Yes, they are still on strike. And I think they started the strike on 24th November last year. But let me make it clear that we had opened for 1 week when they started the strike. The second week, we had to go on a Christmas break from 13th. So we were expected to be back by 19th of this month, but we pushed that one to the 9th for a number of reasons. So yes, they are on strike, but colleges have reopened for non-teaching, but students are not on campus. I think I listened to the summary of the issues that your reporter gave, but let me clarify some of the issues for you to understand very well that something has been done. In fact, a bigger portion, I can say 99% has been done. What they are on strike for is just one bit of it, which is book and research allowances. So he was right. By 2018-19, the colleges have been government converted diploma program to a degree program, which meant that from it used to be 3 years, and now had to be 4 years. So from that point, we started a degree program. It meant that our staff need to also upgrade themselves to be teaching, because per GTEC policy, if you are to teach diploma and certificate, first degree is okay. But if you are to teach a degree, you ought to have what we call a research master's. In Ghana here, it's commonly known as an MPhil. So at that time, college leadership, principals, were asked to actually support our staff. Those who had some masters at the time, which is not research, to encourage them to do a top-up and get MPhil so that they could teach in the colleges. What exactly happened was, fast forward, by 2022, they were tutored but then agitated. And your reporter said that one. That since they are in the tertiary space, like the universities, they ought to actually be given parity of prestige. What it means is that somebody is teaching in Legon with MPhil, somebody is in Winneba or Cape Coast with MPhil, and they are considered as assistant lecturers. So their salary scale was different. They have certain allowances that they were not getting. Precisely, book and research allowance rate was different for the colleges and those in the universities. So what GTEC did was, the matter actually ended at NLC, and they saw reason with them and said yes. They don't see why in the same tertiary space some will be paid separately, especially with the same qualification. But the process is that you have to get to the university, the colleges, and conduct what we call staff audit. That staff audit will tell you who have what qualification to fit in the tertiary space. Because in a university, you can't teach in any of our universities if you don't have a PhD. But if you have an MPhil, well, it's a temporary grade, but that allows you to start teaching while you can go for further studies. So after the staff audit, we realized that about 98% of the college staff had what they call the research masters. That is MPhil or some research component that can allow them to begin to teach temporarily.
Okay.
So, but a few of them also have a PhD. I recall very well at that time, across the 46 colleges then, there were just around 40 people had PhD in all the colleges. So when the staff audit was done and they reclassified them, it is not downgrading. I think let's get this clear. They reclassified them on the basis of the fact that they are now to be at the level of the university staff. So if you had MPhil, you were a tutor by then in the colleges. Once we are not with the university, you could get promotion all the way up to the highest level, which was chief tutor. But after the reclassification, based on the staff audit, if you have MPhil, you were redesignated as a assistant lecturer. That's what happens in the university.
Okay.
If you had a PhD, then you were a lecturer. These were the two grades. If you didn't have a research master's and fell below, then they gave them what we call a principal instructor. That means you need to upgrade yourself to get the research master's. I must say, all these processes took us up to December 2024, before the previous government left office. They had completed the staff audit, also the migration itself, that is placing them on the various ranks that tie in with the universities. What was left at the time was that they didn't implement it. Implementation means if you have designated me as assistant lecturer and some allowances are in the university that I wasn't getting in the college, I now need to do. So that was what was left. So by January 2025, the new government that came took over and then migrated them. This migration now means that you could then feel the effect of your resignation as a assistant lecturer, whatever allowance and salaries you have. And government realized that the money was too much to be paid at a go. So we had an agreement with the CETAG themselves and another category of staff, non-teaching staff, CENSAC, that these allowances should be paid over a 7-month period from January all the way up to July, because the NLC award gave them 1st January 2023, which meant that whatever allowances were due, then they must pick it for the 2-year period.
Okay.
And that's 24 months. So they divided it 3 months, 4 months, till we walk to the end of July. So a greater portion of it was this implementation. So a lot has been done.
Right.
But after that, they were left with a book and research allowance rate, which they were collecting less than invested. So it is that difference that by this year, November, they said the government should have paid that one too. Last year, November.
Right.
So government said, yes, we have agreed. It's a genuine case, including GTEC, Princop, everybody. Because if they were collecting 1,000 cedis and now in the university they are collecting 2,000, the 1,000 difference have to be paid to them.
Okay.
So it is that one that is still outstanding. And then the 2022, they did what they call all year round, because after COVID, they never had any holiday. NLC also awarded that they must be paid 1 month basic salary, which is what they call all year round. Okay. So that one, by this they are asking in November, December, 30 colleges have been paid, 12 of them are left. 4 got partial payment, including my college. So these are the only 2 outstanding issues that
Prof,
made them to be on the strike.
Thank you for this background and context you have brought to the story of the strike that has currently been ongoing for a number of months now. But if you say that about 90% or more of the grievances have been addressed and that is just left with 1 or 2, wouldn't that be grounds enough, or shouldn't it be grounds enough for the lecturers to return to the classroom? Because you say the colleges have reopened, students are yet to come, but lectures are supposed to start anytime soon, right?
Yeah, if the students, we hope to be back by February 9th.
By 9th February. Okay, so between now and then, should it be our expectation that the lecturers will be returning to the classrooms? And is it something that you as Prinkoff would want to, add your voice to get them to the classrooms as negotiations are still ongoing for especially the final two of their grievances as it's been addressed?
Yeah. I think that when they triggered the strike in November, by first week of December, we had met the Minister for Education. GTEC was there, Prinkoff was there, Minister of Education, and I think Minister of Finance. We had an agreement. The Minister said, look, where we are, I'm appealing to you, please get back to the classrooms. And he's taking it upon himself that he will work with his colleague, that's the Finance Minister, to ensure that these monies are paid. I think it's as a result of that, they paid the 30 colleges, they are all year round. And then the 12, which I said, they are the only one now left because there are some technical issues around it. So there was a very proactive response to their issues. This other one, Minister said, look, give me time, it will be paid. It's not that we will not pay. I think our difficulty is we're in Ghana here. You understand how things are. If the larger thing which has to do with their salaries have been paid, as areas of book and research allowance, we appeal to them that let's be teaching, because when we are not teaching for 1 month, 2 months, and we take our salary, and we are waiting for these areas, I mean, we should ask ourselves, legitimately, are we doing something right? Why will the students suffer? So for us, we continue to appeal to them, and we're also working hard with GTEC and Minister of Education, as well as Minister of Finance, hoping that they'll pay them the areas, and then this matter can be settled.
All right, Prof. We thank you for your time, and hopefully in the coming days we'll follow up to see whether how far these issues have been resolved. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you heard Professor Samuel Atintonu, who is the president of the National Conference of Principals of Colleges of Education, Prinkoff, and has been adding his voice or giving some clarity to this ongoing strike by CETAG members, which is the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana. The lecturers are on strike for a number of reasons, and you just heard Professor articulate a number of the problems, and adding that over 90% of the concerns have been addressed, minus just two key outstanding ones, which is the book on research allowance and one other, and has even given indications that the government has shown commitment in resolving them. So as we speak, the concern is that if government has shown this level of commitment and efforts have actually been undertaken to ensure that they are paid, well, then maybe it's time the lecturers themselves also reconsider and return to the classrooms. So we'll see. He says that by 9th of February, the lectures should resume in the various colleges of education. So if these lecturers return, we would update you. If they don't, we'll do a follow-up as to what is keeping them out of the universities or the colleges of education, and find out from government, as well as efforts are underway to ensure that all of these labor agitations are resolved. Let's stay on issues of education, because the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, the University of Ghana branch, has called for the resignation of the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEG, Professor Ahmed Jinapo Abdullahi, and his deputy, Professor Augustine Oklu. According to UTAG UG, or UTAG from the University of Ghana, in a statement, it has taken note of various actions of the Director General and his deputy that continue to negatively impact tertiary education institutions in Ghana, contrary to their mandate under the Education Regulatory Bodies Act, Act 2020, Act 1023. They are hence demanding their resignation and warning that failure to do so will result in a petition to the Chief of Staff for their removal or an industrial action if necessary. They are also calling for the enactment of a legislative instrument, an LI, that will give the implementation of Act 1023 to forestall what they termed future abuse of power by leadership of GTEC. They further urged all other UTAG campuses and sister institutions to join the fight against what they describe as tyranny, oppression, and administrative abuse to restore sanity and hope to, quote, our public education systems or institutions. So that's what the University Teachers Association of Ghana, CETAG, the branch at the University of Ghana, that's what they are saying. They are asking for the resignation of Professor Ahmed Jinapor, who is the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. And they say that Professor Ahmed Jinapor and his deputy, Professor Augustine Oklu, must resign for what they have described as tyranny, oppression, and administrative abuse to restore sanity and hope to public education in the country. What do you make of this call? They are also thereby calling on other universities or tertiary institutions in the country to, as much as possible, join them in this action against the GTEC officials, because they say that they have taken note of various actions by the Director General and his deputy to continue to negatively impact tertiary education institutions, and that action is contrary to the mandate of GTEC. They are henceforth demanding their resignation and warning that if they do not resign, well, they've not given specific timelines though, but if they do not resign, then they are likely to petition the Chief of Staff asking for their removal, or they will be embarking on an industrial action if necessary. And they are also calling for the enactment of a legislative instrument that will guide the implementation of Act 1023 to forestall future abuse of power by leadership of GTEC. So they are indirectly saying that the actions being taken by Professor Ahmed Jinapor is against the statutes of Act 1023, where they have, amongst other things, described it as abuse of power, tyrannical oppression, and administrative abuse. Do let us know your thoughts on this particular story as well, and I will gladly share it with the rest of the world. Our big stories we've been bringing you this evening. First, we started from conversations in the United States of America having to do with Ken Ofori-Atta, who is currently in detention. He is expected to appear in court tomorrow to answer questions regarding his overstay and why he has abused the U.S. visa, which expired, and he was expected to leave the country but continued to stay there. And Ken Ofori-Atta, amongst other things, has tried to justify why he thinks that he needed to stay in the country beyond the expiration of his visa. He has adduced excuses to the extent of saying that there is a possibility of a political persecution or prosecution when it comes to Ghana. And the ICE agents who picked him up have also given clear indications that they've picked him up on the fact that his visa has expired and he's a persona non grata in the U.S. And it is the same individual who is also being sought after by his own country, because he was minister a few years, I should say a few months ago, just about a year ago, he was minister. And it looks as though, having been Minister of Finance, moments after his party left power, he left the country on medical grounds to seek medical attention in the U.S. But they are saying that he is needed back in Ghana to assist with investigations and to answer questions regarding some corruption or corruption-related accusations that have been leveled against Ken Ofori-Atta. We are going to be very, very attentive to how things will play out in the United States of America tomorrow, where Ken is expected in court, and would update you on how everything else plays out. The Attorney General of the Republic has also given indications that it is a subject they are interested in, and many of us wouldn't be surprised to know that some Ghanaian individuals will be at the court as well, and we'll definitely see what else they can say. What else the excuse or, argument Ken Ofori-Atta will be making will be. So your thoughts are always welcome on our Facebook page, where we've been streaming this bulletin. We're also streaming on our website, 3news.com, and on YouTube as well. A few minutes ago, we also brought you the story of the 60-day-old strike, and still counting, by the Colleges of Education Teachers Association, CETAG. We finished that story a few minutes ago where we spoke to Prinkov, which is the principals of the Colleges of Education, and what they make of the ongoing strike. They have given their side of the story and are encouraging both parties, that's the lecturers and government, to ensure that all teething concerns are well ironed out. Also, we have brought you the story about the Ghana Bar Association being the sole group of lawyers in the country. Now, a number of lawyers, not necessarily breakaway lawyers, but a number of lawyers who actually are members of the Ghana Bar Association are putting out an argument that the Bar Association should not be the only fraternity for lawyers, and that there should be the freedom of association, which is guaranteed by the Constitution, to allow lawyers or people who are of the law fraternity to join any other group that they wish to join. And so they are looking for the creation of yet another group of lawyers, which probably can work. I doubt if they're going to be working hand in hand, but of course there could be some grounds, common grounds of work to create that group for other lawyers who want to join to freely do so, because the Constitution allows freedom of association. So that's another story we have brought to you. And then again, if you go to our website 3news.com, you'll find many more of the stories we have for you there. We are expected to have business and sports in the next few minutes. If they do join us, they'll bring you the latest. And talking about sports, your thoughts are welcome. I mean, I'm sure many of you watched the final of the Africa Cup of Nations, which was between host nation Morocco and Senegal. At the end of 120 minutes and a lot of drama, the Senegalese, the Teranga Lions of Senegal, emerged winners. And behind all of that has been quite some revelation as to tactics, whether dark arts or whatever you would want to call it, that must have played out trying to ensure that the Senegalese do not win. But as fate would have it, they carried the day, got the trophy. That's the second trophy for Senegal as conquerors of the continent of Africa, and they are basking in that glory. The president of Senegal has declared a public holiday for the nation, a paid public holiday. That's how he's described it. So don't go to work, just stay home, bask in the glory of us conquering Africa, and you still get paid at the end of the month. So a lot of happiness and joy has engulfed citizens of Senegal, and by extension citizens of many other African countries who were all watching how things were playing out in Rabat, the capital of Morocco, in the AFCON final. And here in Ghana, the conversation has largely been around how we can ensure that we participate in the next AFCON, which is just next year. So 2027, there's going to be yet another AFCON, and we will definitely hope to be there as the Black Stars of Ghana. For now, though, our preparation is towards this year's World Cup, which is a few months away in the United States of America, Mexico, and Canada. And so our full support will be behind the Black Stars to shine bright as they hope to lift the trophy, probably the first African country to lift the World Cup trophy. What a day that will be. Yeah, so on the back of that, we would welcome the sports and business team in a jiffy. Stay with us. This is 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hotedition.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on Hotedition on TFM 92.7. Just go through some of the stories on the aftermath of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, where the Royal Moroccan Football Federation have announced plans to pursue legal action with CAF and FIFA over Senegal's brief walk-off during the AFCON final. The decision follows a penalty awarded to Morocco, with the federation saying that it was later upheld by refereeing experts. Now, Morocco argues that the incident disrupted the match, affected fair competition, and impacted player focus at the crucial moment. The federation says that the case is backed by official reports and videos, evidence, and is aimed at protecting the integrity of the tournament and the team's rights and the image of football. We still stay in Morocco, where forward Brahim Diaz has apologized after missing a crucial late penalty in the AFCON final loss to Senegal in Rabat. With the match level in stoppage time, Diaz earned the penalty after a VAR review, but saw his Panenka-style penalty as saved by Edouard Mendy following lengthy protest. Senegal later won 1-0 in extra time through a Pape Gueye strike to secure the second AFCON title for the Teranga Lions. In a statement posted on his social media, Diaz accepted responsibility for the miss and said, and I quote, "My soul aches. I dreamed of this title. Thanks to all the love you gave me. Yesterday I failed and I take full responsibility and apologize from the bottom of my heart." Unquote. Well, that's all the time would allow us here for the sports segment on Hotedition, and the program also comes to an end here on TFM 92.7. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and we'll be back again same time tomorrow with the latest stories from Ghana, across the continent, and the globe.